Hello and welcome to everyone to the start of a new series of Oxygen XML live events. My name is Alim Belu and I will be your host for the entirety of this new series. And this is a special day because this is our first event of 2024. And the webinar is titled What is New in Oxygen XML Web Author 26.1. First of all, I want to thank everyone for joining us today because this means that you are interested in the latest enhancements introduced with version 26.1 of Web Author, the tool that brings XML editing and reviewing to your web browser. For this, we brought in Bogdan Dumitru, senior software developer at Syncrosoft, to showcase in the next hour the whole range of new features that were designed to enhance your overall authoring experience. So let's not waste any more time and let me share with you some quick information regarding our live event. This webinar is being recorded. This means that in the following days, the recording will be made available on the event page on our site, oxygenxml.com, along with Bogdan's presentation slides. Also, the recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, simply titled Oxygen XML. And there you can also find an impressive library of video tutorials and other event recordings, such as this one. Another important aspect of today's event is that as we go along, we encourage you to ask us questions by using the questions panel found to the left of the GoToWebinar interface, where our colleagues Mihaela Kalotescu and Cristian Talou will assist us by answering to all of your questions in real time. And of course, we will be addressing those questions again in a Q&A session at the end of the event for the benefit of everyone that is joining us today. Well, this is it for my introduction. So now I officially introduce to the virtual stage Bogdan Dumitru. Hi, Bogdan.
Hello, everyone. Okay. I think I now have to share my screen. Okay. Okay, what's new in Oxygen XML Web Author 26.1? Let's start. First, who we are. We are oxygenxml.com, and we offer XML-related solutions for over 20 years. We offer a rich gamut of products from authoring to publishing. Oops. Sorry about that. First, let's clarify a few terms that I'll use intensively throughout this webinar: XML, DITA, and Oxygen framework. XML is a markup language. Basically, you surround information with meaningful tags. It's similar to HTML, some ignorance may say. DITA is an XML vocabulary with many meaningful elements predefined. It has stuff like content reuse, keys, content profiling, etc. Oxygen framework, so-called document type, it's used to customize the editing experience for a particular family of documents. It's where you specify how the document is rendered, what the specific actions for the document are, what the schema that validates the document is. Okay, and the agenda. First, we'll start talking about a newly added security feature, application authentication. What are the implications? What are the benefits? What's changing user interaction with the application? Further, you will see the styles inspector that can be used when building frameworks. This allows to inspect the styles of each element. Then I'll talk about DITA profiling and DITA project support. DITA profiling allows to profile your content for multiple publications. And the DITA project allows you to better organize big projects that have many DITA map and DITAVAL files. At the end, I'll show you Oxygen AI Positron, a solution that enhances technical writers with the AI right from the editor. Now a few words about Web Author. Well, Web Author handles and hides XML complexity for you. In this picture, you can see a lot of XML stuff that's not so user-friendly, like tags over tags and symbols over symbols. Web Author is a web-based application that allows you to edit, review, merge, and collaborate on XML documents in a what you see, what you get mode. But not just XML, it also supports Markdown. Users can concurrently edit documents. Web Author doesn't have storage, but it has multiple connectors to various file services. It has powerful review features like preview comments, change tracking, and user mentions. And this is a picture from Web Author. Now, the main difference between Author and Web Author is that Oxygen Author is a desktop application that has to be installed by each user. And Oxygen Web Author is a web application where users use it right from their browsers. Something worth mentioning here is that both share Oxygen SDK, meaning that you can write a plugin for Oxygen Author that can be used also in Web Author. If, of course, if the plugin doesn't implement desktop-specific user interactions, user interfaces that aren't web compatible. How to open a document in Web Author? As I've mentioned before, Web Author doesn't store documents. It connects to various file services. So you can either open Web Author, connect to a file server, let's say GitHub, and then browse and open a file. Or you can open a Web Author link that opens a particular file. For example, an edit link from a site published with Oxygen Web Help. Note that anyone can compute or create Web Author links, so you can integrate Web Author right in your existing edit or review workflow. You can even compute links that shows diffs between documents or diffs between different revisions of a document. Here is a screenshot with some of the supported connectors. As you can see, Web Author supports or Web Author has connectors for GitHub, for Bitbucket, for CMIS, Perforce, and many others. Something worth mentioning here is that each connector has specific actions and interactions. For example, for GitHub, when committing, if a conflict appears, you are given the chance to resolve the conflict in Web Author merge tool in a user-friendly way. Now let's talk about security, because security is an important feature of our applications. As a general note about Web Author security, Web Author has many built-in security features. Some of them require manual activation. See the security section from Web Author administration page, because there you will see configurations for security for example, firewall, trusted collocations, application authentication provider, and much more. Application authentication is a new feature that arrived with version 26.1. It's an optional feature, and by default, it's disabled. The scope of this feature is to increase the security. Now let's clarify the differences between authentication, authorization, and connection. The authentication is the process of verifying the identity. Authorization is the act of giving someone official permission to do something, and connection is a bond or link between two things. By default, without application authentication enabled, users go to a connector tab, a file server tab, hit the connect button, let's say the connect with GitHub button, then GitHub page appears and asks the user to authorize Web Author to make commits and read files. By doing this, you connect your session to GitHub and authorize the application to make commits on your behalf. The problem with this is that anyone can use the Web Author application, and even bots that can even try denial of service attacks, for example. The solution for this is to make each user that accesses Web Author to go first through an authentication process. The user is redirected to a page that requires to authenticate with a specific authentication provider. The authentication provider is chosen from Web Author's administration page. After authentication, the user is resumed to the desired page where it continues to use the file server connector, for example, or even directly open a file. As you can see here in this picture, the application authentication process is more like a layer that users go through, after which they use the application just as before. And this is the screen with authentication. Now, let's see how it works. This is a link of an Web Author installed locally. It has the application authentication enabled, and the provider is GitLab on-premise. So this screen appears. The user is informed that it have to authenticate in order to access the application, and it sees a big authenticate with GitLab on-premise button. And if I click this button, GitLab appears, sign in, and I go back to Web Author where I resume my editing, resume whatever I want. I can click a different connector like GitHub, and now I can connect with GitHub or with Bitbucket or any other. Okay. Let's move on to author mode, inspect styles. The documents are edited in Web Author in a what you see is what you get mode, the so-called author mode. The rendering is based on a set of CSS files specified by the framework. When developing a framework, sometimes you feel the need to inspect why an element looks the way it does. And in Oxygen XML editor, there you have an CSS inspector view that shows the resolved CSS styles that are applied for an element. Well, this feature is now available in Web Author 2. It can be found in contextual menu, about element, inspect styles action. And when invoked, a side view with information about the current element is presented. Note that the styles of a document isn't fixed. You can toggle some additional styles or choose style action. And here you can find the action under the About Element submenu. And here is the action, Inspect Styles. And this is the CSS inspector view. It has a drop-down that you can use to choose to see the styles for the element.caret code. In our case, you can see here the element.caret, caret being here. Here you can access the drop-down to change the mode of this view. By default, shows the styles of the element.caret. You can opt to see the styles of all pseudo elements, like before, after, marker pseudo elements from this drop-down also. And also to see the computed or resolved styles. The styles without the ones that are overwritten and not applied. Like you can see here, the margin button style that is overwritten by another role. Okay. And also in the right side, you can see the file name where the CSS declaration can be found. Usually it's a framework file. And also the line number. Okay. And now see a demo. And the same document as before is loaded. Let me place the caret here. Invoke the contextual menu about element inspect styles. And the view appears. You can see all the options to see the computed styles or styles for the before pseudo element. And also, if I hover here on the file name, I can see the full path under the frameworks directory. And this is how the computed mode looks like. And if I change the selection, it automatically updates. This view can be useful if you want to see the configuration of for control, like this button here. If you place your caret somewhere, you will see the for control configuration for it. Yeah, here it is. Is the Oxy editor for control. Okay, I think that's it with the CSS inspector view. Let's move on. Now let's move on the DITA-specific features. I'll talk about DITA profiling support and DITA project file. DITA offers support for conditionally profiling content by using profiling attributes. In Oxygen XML Web Author, you can define values for the DITA profiling attributes, and they can be easily managed to filter content in the published output. If you use DITA without profiling, you usually have a DITA map and multiple DITA files. When publishing, you end up with a single PDF, for example, a file that you have to send to all of your users. The problem here may arise if you have multiple categories of users, such as end user, system administrator, support specialist, or call center support specialist if you want. You want a more technical documentation for the sysadmin and a more troubleshoot-oriented documentation for the tech support. If you use DITA with profiling, you can generate two distinct PDFs from the same project. PDF A and PDF B. You have the same data map, the same topics, but with profiling attributes. Then, for each PDF, you have a DITAVAL file with the profiling conditions for each persona or each group of users. The profiling attributes for support persona can be the audience, can look or sound like this. The audience attribute set to support value. And the DITAVAL conditions for support persona can be the include elements with audience attribute with the value support. And that's how your support team will receive a dedicated manual much richer than the one for the end user, and your end user will receive a manual with just the topics that are relevant for them. And that's how a DITAVAL looks like. It simply specifies whether to exclude or include content that has a profiling attribute with a specific value. In this picture, you see that the first condition specifies to include the content that has the audience attribute with support value. And that's how you set the profiling attributes in a topic. The Edit Profiling Attributes dialog makes your life easier by allowing you to use checkboxes and radio buttons to set the profiling attributes. So you don't have to remember the attributes names, the attributes values, or the delimiter between values. This is especially handy when switching between projects that have different values, different profiling attributes values, and stuff like this. And you can see here the attribute, just the technical support value is chosen from this dialog. DITA profiling visualization. Once a profiling attribute is set, you can visualize it in the editor. It is rendered with a green border, and the condition is presented on the right side here. And you can choose a DITAVAL, and if the conditions within exclude the content, the excluded content is rendered a little faded. From the DITA context dialog, you can also choose to completely hide the excluded content. And here is how DITA context dialog looks like. From this dialog, you can choose the DITAVAL from here, the filter, and whether or not to hide the filter content with this checkbox that by default is active. Okay. And by the way, and also from this dialog, you can choose instead of a pair of map and filter, a DITA project and a context. But that I'll cover later. Now here comes another challenge. What are you going to do when you have to publish a PDF for a particular category of users? What DITAVAL and DITA map will you choose among all the 100 files that your colleagues added? Well, the solution for this is to use DITA-OT project file. The file looks like this. It defines context, and each context is a DITA map and a DITAVAL. Here are two contexts defined. Beside that, you can also define deliverables. So you'll see everything in a single place. You'll define all the context and all the deliverables in a single file. So the project defines context, and the context is a map and a DITAVAL. And to visualize the solution, to publish a PDF for a particular user group, you need only to specify the DITA-OT project file and which context to publish. Now let's demonstrate that. Here I have an almost empty project where I will create all the files presented before: the topic, the map, the DITAVAL, and the subject scheme, and the DITA project. Okay, let's first create from this button the topic. Let's say troubleshoot topic. The project being, let's say, mobile phone for military use. Troubleshoot. Okay. Here I choose the template, the topic template, and hit create. But let's prefix it with topic. And the topic is created. Let's fill some words about it. Troubleshoot. Troubleshoot what? Troubleshoot connection. And let's add few words. If you have poor connection, please check the signal level under, let's say, connection value. You should have at least one line. Okay, and let's commit this file with, from here, commit initial topic. Okay, let's create now the map. Go back, new, and from here I'll choose map template, and I'll name it map.DITAMap. Okay, let's give it a title. Military phone X1000. Okay, and let's link the before created topic. I'll use this action that allows me to browse the topic that I want to refer, and hit choose. The topic graph is inserted, and let's commit it again. Okay, and now let's add a few profiling conditions. But before that, let's add a section in that topic, a section that I want to be dedicated or to be present just for the tech support persona. And I'll hit enter. Content completion will appear. I'll search for section and a title, advanced troubleshoot. To see the exact amount of signal, see the advanced secret whatever menu, and connection details section. It should be over, I don't know, crazy value like this. and a new unit. Okay, let's go it again. And this section, I want to profile it to be available just for the support. And in the contextual menu, I have this section, Edit Profiling Attributes, that shows the Edit Profiling Attributes dialog, where I have a few attributes, but for audience, I don't have a value for support. For this, to define the custom values or fixed values for profiling attributes, I need a subject scheme map. Okay, let's create a subject scheme. I go back, again, click new, and click DITA, somewhere. Subject scheme, no, not this one. Okay. Subject scheme, hit create. And for the content of this file, I'll copy some content from another sample that I can find in the dashboard. The samples, here I can find the data profiling sample that already has a sample for subject scheme. This one can open. And from here I can see the source of the document. Control A, Control C to copy all. Go back here. Can edit as XML, paste the content, and now I have a few values defined, but not the values that I want. Let's go back in XML page. Full guide. Okay, it is okay. The product values 1000 x 2000. It's okay for my use case. The audience attribute. Okay, this is the audience, and I want not technician. I want support. And the name, support specialist, and basic user is like an end user. Okay, I'll leave it like this. Okay. Commit. And in order to apply the subject scheme, I have to reference it in the DITA map, just to reload it. Okay. Again, this button from toolbar that allows me to browse for the topics that I want to reference and choose the subject scheme. Okay. And also I have to specify two attributes for the subject scheme. The type and value being a subject scheme. And there is another attribute that if I don't remember attribute, I can go back to the sample. Here. And I'll open the map from here. I'll open the attributes view, click on the topic graph that references the subject scheme, and I see here the attribute type with value subject scheme and format DITA. Okay, DITA map. And I just have to add format like this. Okay. And again, commit. Now let's open the topic again. And let's see if in the edit profiling attributes dialog. Okay, now I have custom values for the profiling attributes. And I choose Sport Specialist and hit OK. And if I go in the attributes view, I can see the audience attribute set to sport value. The edit profiling attributes dialog, it's handy because I rather use checkboxes and radio buttons than fill an input with the values. I don't have to remember them. Okay, now let's add a DITAVAL to include the content with support audience, and another DITAVAL to exclude it. One for regular users and one for support users, support persona or support team. But first commit this. Okay, go back. Again, new filter. Filter. Okay, here. And the name, this filter will be for support, filter for support. Okay. And I'll delete this section. Okay. And this have to include content that has audience attribute set to sport. Okay. Again, commit. And let's create another DITAVAL file for regular user that excludes this content. Again, DITAVAL, filter. Okay. And user. And this one will exclude content with audience support. Okay. And now I'll open again the topic, and I'll show you how you can use the configure DITA context dialog to specify the filter. And I'll use filter for end user that excludes the second section. Hit apply. Now you can see this content to be faded. And if you go back to the configure DITA context dialog, you can also choose to hide excluded content with this checkbox and apply. Now the content is hidden. Okay, but this dialog also allows you to specify, instead of a map and a filter, a DITA-OT project and a context. Let's do this. And again, let's create a project from, I think, here. This should be somewhere. maybe under wall. Okay, here is a DITA-OT project. Okay, let's name it project XML. Okay, create. And here I have the default template predefines the context and the deliverable. I'll just delete the deliverable and I'll edit the context. First, I'll correct the name of the map, that in our case it's map.DITA-map. And the filter is filter for support for the first context. And the ID is user guide for support. The name, user guide for support. And now the author mode updates. Let's duplicate this context. Click here to select it. Control C, Control V. Oops, I pressed another button. Again, Control C, Control V. Okay. Let me see the name of the other DITAVAL file. For end user, okay. Okay, the map is the same, but the name on the ID differs. For end user and for user. Okay, now I have the project file. Hit commit. And let's go back to the topic and choose the project file instead of the map and filter. From here, now click here, browse for the project file. Okay, and context dropdown will be populated with the two contexts that I've defined. And I can select this one. Okay, and the DITAVAL configure in that context now applied. Now it's applied. Okay, I think that's it with the DITA presentation. Let's move on. Okay. And now let's take a look at another usage of the DITA-OT project file, and now in Oxygen Content Fusion. Oxygen Content Fusion is a collaboration platform. You can define a Content Fusion project for a Git repository, and then you can start preview tasks and share it with your team from the platform, where you can edit concurrently. You can push and pull changes from the repository and many other things. Okay. Another mention is that in Content Fusion projects, the DITA-OT project file is a first-class citizen. Okay, let's see how to use Content Fusion UI to configure a deliverable and how to publish a DITA-OT project file and to generate a PDF. Okay, this is the Content Fusion user interface. I've already created a Content Fusion project that connects to the repository that I previously edited from Web Author. You can see the files that I created just now. I can open them and I can edit them. I can, from here, I can create review tasks and share them with my team where I can collaborate more easily. But let's focus on the deliverables and context, and let's generate a PDF for what I've created before. First, let's create the publications. From here, I click create new publication. Let's give it a name for support. Now I have to choose the map, this one, okay, and choose the DITAVAL. Okay, hit create. The first publication appeared. The Content Fusion publication is the equivalent or the same thing as the DITA-OT project context. Let's create the second publication for user. Again, choose the map and the other DITAVAL. Great. Okay, and if I go back to the content, I can see now that Content Fusion created a separate DITA project file where what I configure in the Content Fusion UI is stored. Here you can see the publications. And now I go to deliverables, where I can create a deliverable for each of my publication, and with it I can generate a PDF. So create new deliverable. Let's give it a name for user deliverable and choose the publication. You can publish either web help or PDF. I'll choose PDF. And you can also customize the PDF that's published, but I'll leave it like this and then save. And let's generate another deliverable for the other publication for sport. Okay. Again, PDF, save. And I can go here to build the PDF. Let's hit build and hit the build for the other deliverable. And we have to wait a little to for the application to finish generating the PDFs. The first one is ready. I can download it. And I have the PDF for the first category of users. As you can see, the second section, that's profile, it's not present here. Okay. Let's move on to the next section of the presentation. Now let's talk about AI. Oxygen Positron is a solution that supports technical documentation writers with AI right from the editor. You can use it together with Oxygen XML Editor, Oxygen XML Web Author, and Oxygen Content Fusion. For editor, it comes like an optional add-on, and for Web Author and Content Fusion as an optional plugin. For Web Author, just the enterprise version is available, at least for now. As a disclaimer, the Oxygen XML editor add-on has a little more features for a moment, but that will change soon because we plan to work intensively on the Web Author version in the future. And next, I'll present you the Web Author integration of Oxygen AI Positron. You may wonder why to use Oxygen AI Positron. Of course, you can use ChatGPT directly, but with Oxygen AI Positron, you have better productivity because of the great integration with the editor. Another reason is that you are in full control because you can preview the differences proposed by AI and accept them individually instead of receiving from ChatGPT the whole document scrambled and trying to find the differences and maybe risking copying also some bad changes without noticing. Another reason is that you benefit from fine-tuned actions. You don't have to learn to be a prompt engineer to obtain decent AI responses. The actions are even framework specific, like for example, the generate index term action is for DITA. And last but not least, if you are unsatisfied with the AI response, you can refine it from the chat. Okay, and that's how AI Positron looks in Web Author. It's a side view that has a drop-down with actions here, a button to access the chat history here. Below, you can see the response for, I think, correct grammar action. The raw response is hard to read, but don't worry because you can press preview here and a diff will be presented where you can spot the differences at word level and accept each change individually. So you have full control and transparency over what's inserted into your document from AI. And this diff is also editable, so you can do manual interventions in the AI response before accepting it. And in this diff dialog, you have buttons to navigate through the differences and buttons to accept either one or all of them. Okay. Oxygen AI Positron Enterprise. Now, some technical details about the Enterprise variant. It allows you to connect to your accounts or instances of OpenAI, Microsoft Azure, or Anthropic Claude, meaning that you can use your custom, maybe secret AI models fine-tuned for your needs. To sum it up, with the Oxygen AI Positron Assistant Enterprise, you have the full control over everything. You can host the Web Author server with a Positron plugin also and choose what AI server it connects to. That way, you have the guarantee of security and privacy. And to show you how simple it is to use Positron Enterprise, install the plugin, and here's what you need to configure in order to use Positron with OpenAI. This is a screenshot from the Positron configuration dialog that you can find in Web Author's administration page in the plugin section. Simply insert the OpenAI key. And also, you can choose the AI model. And for Microsoft Azure, you have to fill the endpoint and the key. And for Claude, the same stuff. And another great feature for the enterprise is that you can define your custom actions as a JSON file, which you can upload in the administration page in plugins configuration dialog. And this is how an action action descriptor looks like. It's a JSON with some fields like title and in what menu the action should appear, the context, and some examples. Now let's see Positron in action. I'll open a project with some predefined sample documents on which I can try the Positron actions. This project is a public GitHub project, and you can try it out yourself by using Positron from Web Author demo server. For this, you have to go to oxygenxml.com, find Web Author product, and see the Try It Online button, where you'll find the demo server of Web Author that contains also Positron. Okay. And in the this document with predefined samples for Positron contains many topics, one for each action. But first, let me connect to Positron from here. Click connect. And now I'm connected. I can start chatting with the AI server from here, where I can also refine responses. I can see here all the available actions that are grouped in categories like content generation, where I can find continue writing, short description, index terms, rewrite, category that contains correct grammar, improve readability, use active voice, itemize and join items. Overview category that you can use to summarize, or improve readability, or generate questions or answer questions. You can even use AI Positron to translate your document. And last, the marketing section that contains a few marketing related features. And for the presentation, let's look for the correct grammar. This one, open the topic. In the topic, you'll see a small description about the action and the instructions that I'll follow. I'll open this topic and select the entire content and invoke the correct grammar action. Notice that the Positron actions are aware of the state of the editor, aware of the selection of the editor. Okay, if I want the whole document to be checked, I'll select the whole document, and from Positron Assistant, I will go to Actions, rewrite, correct grammar. I can see the response from AI, and I can either click Replace or Preview. And now can I easily spot and go through each difference from here? Okay, this is good. This is also good. Let's accept all changes. Okay. And hit apply your changes. And now my document is updated. Okay. Let's go back. Another example is to summarize. Okay, I'll open this topic. Short description. Okay, but if I don't like their response, I can give some additional instructions like make it longer. And I receive another response. Okay. Another interesting usage for AI Positron is that I can use Positron to describe this for control that we saw earlier. I just copied this for control configuration from the CSS inspector view, go to Positron, again connect. Okay, and I will use the chat. Please describe this Oxygen XML form control configuration. Paste and send. And it says that the control is of type button. Yes, that's true. And it's configured with the following properties. Okay, the action, Oxy action. This is more easier to comprehend than the configuration that's a little bit cryptical. Okay. And if you want, you can even use the continue writing action. This is especially useful if you face something like writer's block when you kind of run of ideas or things to say, and you want something to inspire or something to start from. Okay, like in this example, I can go here, place the card here, and hit the continue writing action. And I receive a pretty decent continuation for my text. That sounds okay, but if I don't want to accept the whole text, I can just copy change from right to left, and from here just cut this part. Okay, and apply changes. Okay, so I will see that I have the full control over the content. Okay, I think I think that's it with a positron. Remember that this is an optional solution for Web Author. You can use it with all of our editors, and you can try it out on Web Author demo server. Okay, let's go back to the presentation, and this is the final slide. Thank you, everyone. I'm open to questions, and maybe Aline can continue maybe reading some of the questions that you asked during the webinar.
Thank you, Bogdan, for the amount of great information that you shared with us today. So I hope that these latest enhancements will make their way through our users' workflows. So as you said, now let's jump to the Q&A session, because we had a very interactive audience today. So I have some questions in store for you. Now we can see each other again, so it's great. Can you use the web application for documentation that uses profiles, DITAVALs, and a lot of maps? This question came from Stephanie.
Yes, you can use with many, and if you have many DITAVAL and DITA map files, it's especially handy to use a DITA-OT project file where you can define all the context. You saw earlier that you define a context that is a pair of map and DITAVAL, and you reuse the defined context, so you don't have always to browse all the files to choose DITAVAL. And there is no limitation about the number of DITAVAL or DITA map files.
Thank you, Bogdan. Also, I want to remind everyone that if you have problems or issues, you can contact us directly, support@oxygenxml.com, or you can use our tutorials that are available in our video library on our site, and of course on our YouTube channel, because you can find a lot of answers and use cases. Another question comes from Marcus. When using custom DTDs or schemas, do I have to adapt AI Positron somehow, or does it run out of the box?
Maybe Christy, can you help us?
Yeah, hello. So the assistant tries to preserve the markup it finds in the document. So if you run the correct grammar action on some document that has markup, the assistant tries to preserve the markup it finds in the source document. The challenge comes when you want the assistant to suggest new markup. And you have several options. One of them is to use the context prompt, which can be set in the plugin configuration page. And in this context prompt, you can basically explain to the assistant what your markup is and how it can be used. And another option is to use a custom model that can be fine-tuned to understand your markup.
Thank you, Christy. We have one last question until now. Are there any updates on SDK in this version 26.1 of Web Author?
Well, there are a few, but you can see all the updates of the SDK API in the What's New section of Web Author from oxygenxml.com. So, so to see all the changes, up on oxygenxml.com, choose the Web Author product and go to What's New section, and you will see there all the updates.
Perfect. Thank you, Bogdan. I think this sums up our Q&A session. We don't have any more questions from our audience, which I am very, very thankful for. Again, I want to remind everyone that today's recording of the webinar will be made available in the following days, and it will be uploaded on the event page that you can see right now from our site, oxygenxml.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel, Oxygen XML. Now, let me talk a little bit to you about our upcoming events, because this new series has some great webinars in store for you. So in 2 weeks, we have the Oxygen AI Positron, your helper in all stages of content creation, a webinar that will be presented by Sorin Carbonaro. And in this 1 hour webinar, we will delve into how AI can transform content creation by exploring the Oxygen AI Positron Assistant add-on as an invaluable writing companion by focusing on the latest developments in the release of Oxygen AI Positron Assistant 2.0, a release that happened yesterday, so you can check it out right now. And also we will be focusing on some techniques for drafting documentation that integrates both content and images, because we also now have support for vision models. And the next webinar will happen on the 22nd of May. And Mihaela Kalotescu, that is behind the scenes right now, will return as a presenter for the web author customizations getting started. So this webinar will act as a great companion for today's discussion. If you're looking to integrate Oxygen XML Web Author into your existing XML workflow, we invite you to join us for this insightful webinar, where we'll walk you through the initial steps to maximize the potential of Web Author within your workflow. So try not to miss it. And as always, I encourage you to also take a look at our events page, where you can also find the links to register for free to our webinars, as well as to find out the list of conferences where you can meet the Oxygen XML team in person. So with this being said, I want to thank again Bogdan for another great presentation. So thank you. And again, a big thank you to our other colleagues, Mihaela Kalotescu and Cristian Telo, that helped us from behind the scenes with your questions. So this is it for the first webinar of 2024. Let's meet again in 2 weeks. And until then, have a wonderful day or evening. Bye-bye. Bye.